I'm good. So Oska of the front runner in Christchurch, Recovery Systems Ambassador, big affiliation also with New Balance. I'm going to start you off with a few questions to set the scene. What do the numbers 14 minutes 20 mean to you?
That is what I've managed to run around 12.5 laps of a track in.
5K time. What about 29:29?
So that's my 10K road time.
Road time, right? 64:40.
Half marathon PB. Yeah.
PB and national championship.
And yeah, and so I've won three New Zealand half marathon national titles. Yep.
Yep.
My time.
And in the same year as the 64:40, you did 2:18 for a marathon. What did that mean? What did you complete? The first time in a long time. Tell us about what you actually completed.
Yeah, so I guess it's probably timing probably has a little bit to do with it too, around when those two races line up. But it was sort of the first time in 2 decades someone had managed to get themselves to the start line of both those events and cross the finish line first, which was, I didn't really know about it until the reporter in Dunedin mentioned it. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So not a bad thing to sign off the year on Father's Day down in Dunners.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. They're amazing times. And my first, having had a background in triathlon, my first question is how the heck did somebody not grab you at sub 30-minute 10K and say, can you ride a bike? Never mind if you can't, we'll teach you. And can you swim? Because we think that possibly triathlon could be a great sport for someone that runs that fast. Did that thought ever occur to you?
Oh, not really. I don't mind cycling, and quite often my coach Matthew Ingram will hammer me to perhaps use one of my recovery days as a bike ride, and often join me on those bike rides up on the hill. So that's good fun. But I'm way too hyperactive to look at a blue line for more than 20 minutes, mate. So I don't know how I'd go. I don't know how I'd go on the pool, unfortunately. But good question. Good question.
Fair enough. So, if a talent spotter had got you way back, they might have sold you a different story. Maybe we'll paint the black line a different colour so you don't get bored. But
maybe.
Now, so I spent 28 years of my life in Christchurch, and I look at your social media pictures and I have a little tear in my eye remembering the beauty and the solitude of the Port Hills and through to Sumner. So describe for somebody who's never seen Christchurch and the Port Hills, describe what that's like.
Yeah, I guess we're extremely lucky. I'd say that first in Christchurch, and probably one of the most underrated places that I've had the pleasure of training in. I think we've got a number of terrains and surfaces to apply our trade on. So Bottle Lake up in North New Brighton, Hagley Park. Obviously, you can get 8.5K of nice tar seal there for workouts, and then the Port Hills. And I think as someone who has run them for a long time, hills are something that people don't use enough of.
Absolutely.
And particularly for ankle strength and then cardiovascular response. So the Port Hills are an amazing 400 odd meters above sea level, which you climb from sea level. And I think the thing I like about them the most is there's many places to go up onto them with varying different gradients. So if you want a lung buster, there's the Bridle Path where you climb about 380 meters in a mile. If you want to climb to one of the tallest points, you've got Mount Pleasant, which is 400 meters over about 4.5K. And then out towards Sumner, which I guess is where I spend a lot of my time running as a junior athlete, so 18 or 19 years old, with Phil running out there across the the Godley Head trails on that sort of volcanic clay, up and down the rolling hills across the top. No, there was no pace. It was just, we're going to go run for 2 hours. Okay, let's go. And it's stunning scenery. You get a lot out of going up and down. There's stairs, there's sharp climbs, flat bits, everything you could possibly need to work almost every part of muscle you had. And by the end of 2 hours, I think you probably covered everything off and you're ready for a smoothie and a lie down.
So having coached myself using Lydiard methods, this covers the strength endurance, the hills, and I know you do your tempo and your speed work. And so this ticks all the boxes of Arthur's templates for how to get stronger, including all the soft tissue, because he had his guys running on a lot of softer surfaces that were going to create the soft tissue strength and the cardiovascular benefits of running hills. And I don't, people in this part of the world wouldn't comprehend that, because highest point of Singapore, where I am here, is 120 meters above sea level. But you actually start that climb at about 40 meters. So it's 80. It's an 80-meter climb. How good can you get? You know, if you're on a, you know, with bike riding, for example, hills and wind will make you strong. Christchurch has got both of those. And so you're in a very lucky part of the world, except possibly the cold.
You can always rug up. That's fine.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can, absolutely. So let's talk about your journey. Has been, from what I read, it's a journey of discovery of how to get better. And at a certain point in time, you hired a trifecta of experts, probably not at the same time. Matthew Ingram, your coach, Jamie Scott, your nutrition and strength and conditioning, and Wayne Armour, I believe it was, on your biomechanics or your body mechanics. Now, this, when I read that about you, I saw a story of marginal gains. Can you drill into what each of those folks brought to your running? And
yeah, and there's probably one more name to add to that, and that's John Quinn, who's the mental skills coach, mate. So they're probably my four, along with my wife Katie. They're probably my four, I guess, main advisors that, you know, for anyone who's looking to get a coach, and hopefully you agree with me, you've got to get on with someone first.
Absolutely.
And have a similar value set. And then they need to give you a certain amount of leeway to maybe make some mistakes yourself, but guide you gently along the way. So my first coach was Val Burke, who's down in Wanaka. We lived down there for 4 years, and she was absolutely fantastic. She was like a second mum, loved her to bits. And she did a really good job at, I guess, increasing my top end speed. And then when Kate and I got married, and the time was to come back to Christchurch to start a family and get a real job, I moved into Matt Ingram, and he had a couple of distance guys at the time, and where he was working out of high performance sport. So we sat down and had a coffee, and I got what he was about straight away, and I believed that he could take all that good work that Val and I had done, and then turn me into an aerobic monster. And it's not a bad way to do it. So yeah, he guided me along tempo running, longer runs, a few more doubles, increased gradually that mileage over 3 or 4 years, and sort of here we are in that regard. So he was sort of first cab off the rack in terms of those 4 men. And then I linked up with, John Quinn was actually my high school counsellor, to be fair. But I sort of relinked with him about a year into being back here in Christchurch, and we just started to work together around making sure that my mind and how I was feeling about things were going to help me or benefit me in what I was sort of trying to achieve. And also, like you, I've got a full-time job, I've got a family, I've got staff, I've got a million things going on at once. Trying to understand how to have real clarity about what you're trying to do at any one particular moment, so there's not too much distraction. And that's a really hard thing to do, right? Like, you can be the best athlete in the world, but if you've got a busy mind, sometimes you don't nail the things too well, or you get a bit stressed out, cortisol comes up, performance goes out the window. So I struggled with that a little bit in the beginning, coming back, working 40, 45 hours a week, trying to do all those things. So he was really helpful and allowing me to have some clarity around those things, and accept that, some things were not always going to be perfect, like maybe I'd become accustomed to them being, just have some courage around that. Yeah. And then I met Wayne. I was having a foot issue, actually, and a mate of mine said, "Go and see this guy's a nutcase." I was like, okay, I'll try anything. And he was great. Like, we got along like a house on fire. He's a little bit odd, but I like that. He looks at things from a pragmatic approach. I trust him definitely with my body. Everything that he's done so far, he really has got it right, and he explained things very well. He's an intelligent man. And he just helped me probably move better, some different modalities around cupping and TENS machines. And, he wasn't afraid to try and get a response out of what wasn't necessarily normal in Western, massage to a degree. And I like that. Like, he explained it well. And you thought, yeah, okay, well, this makes sense to me, you know. And then Jamie came along. I'd had some health issues around. I picked up a heart virus, some bits and pieces, just basically pushing myself to the limit, as we all have at some point in time. And I had sort of struggled around some mental things around eating and maybe not doing that so well, trying to drive myself to performance through getting lighter, which doesn't work, anyone listening. Eventually it comes unstuck. So Jamie, again, he was a strong personality with good ideas, strong ideas, and something that you could really believe in. And he had this sort of approach to nutrition, which I liked. It wasn't calorie counting, it was grams per kilo of you, and if you didn't hit those numbers, you won't do what you want to do. And I really respected that. So yeah, definitely the 4 key roles for me, and then good friends, good mentors in life and business and sport. And I definitely respect them in all facets of that. Yeah, no,
that's great. So how is our product, intermittent compression, helped you on the recovery side?
Yeah, so it's interesting you say that. I think people think that you get fitter from hurting yourself. You don't. You probably get fit in the bit where you don't do anything. Hope you agree with me. So
absolutely.
And again, as a busy athlete, I still consider myself a weekend warrior. Even if I'm a faster one than some. Your product, it enables me to do a couple of things at once. I can still have the boots on and read my daughter a story before she goes to bed. I can still put the boots on and finish up some work I haven't done. And around sort of some of that lymphatic drainage, getting rid of waste products, something that my body has struggled to do because of, I guess, the abuse I've put it through over time. You might be able to say the scientific words for that, but that's what I feel like it achieves for me. Hydrating, oxidizing, putting oxygen back into the muscles pre-workout. So I'll often use them on a Tuesday night and a Friday night. The night before the morning, I do a sort of a harder session. I find that quite beneficial. It helps the joints and their range of motion, gets that fascial tissue unstuck, I guess, to a degree. And then I have a little bit of a stretch after I hop out of them. So yeah, I love them three times a week for half an hour to 40 minutes. I really find that that works really well for me. Cool. Other people might be different.
Yeah, no, you absolutely nailed it. Training makes you worse, recovery makes you better. And it's the super compensation's only going to happen when you let your body recover. And so what the magic in the squeeze and release of what we do is pushing the bad stuff out, which you very precisely described, and it's bringing back fresh nutrients to speed up healing, recovery, and gains. And I love what you said about the night for a big session. And so I would even take that a step further. And one thing Dougal Allen down in Wanaka has discovered, that he's using it as a warm-up as well, because it's a great load. It's preload, if you like, to get the vascular system working. In fact, based on our muscle oxygen data, what we discovered is 8 to 10 minutes on the boots is the equivalent of 30 to 40 minutes of warm-up, of actually getting out there and running. And I know that Christchurch and Wanaka can get quite cold, and sometimes it's actually hard to get warmed up properly because of that. But you're getting warmed up also without the metabolic cost of doing that long warm-up. So that could be potentially a great biohack for when you go out on any day, but particularly the colder days. And it'll only take 8 to 10 minutes to actually get you into that point of probably being even above what it would take, take you to do a physical warm-up. And just as a bit of an aside, this month we're launching a product for horses. It's called Equine Super Boots. And what in our R&D over the last 16 months now, the trainers first started using it on horses that were broken. And what they discovered was suspensory ligaments were healing in 1/3 of the time. Oh, that's a surprise. Anytime you increase blood flow, you're bringing a great chance of healing and recovery to happen faster. So no surprises for us. But they instantly became believers. And we then said, well, that's only 1/4 of its use. What do you mean? We then started talking about the warm-up. And this is a classic one for athletes as well, if I may just use the example of a horse. And horses are four-legged athletes. When they do a session on the track, they have a limited time. They've got, you know, an hour and a half or something like that to do what they need to do, and that's it. They're done. They're not allowed to be on the track all day. So the luxury of a 30 or 40-minute warm-up, trotting the horse and getting it prepared for a gallop, doesn't happen most of the time. So what they're doing is putting the boots on. And some of these horses are worth, you know, north of $1 million. And one of the horses we have it on here in Singapore is about a $5 million job. And they've had some really good results out of that. So as for horses, same for humans. And then they're doing the same thing when the horse comes back and working on their recovery. Even 10 minutes is making a difference. And so I'm glad to see that that's part of, sorry for my shaggy dog story, but you know, oftentimes we can learn things from other sports and other aspects. And some of my fighters, the MMA fighters, are actually putting the boots on before they start their stretching. And surprise, surprise, their range of motion is better, and they end up extending their range of motion, quicker after a session on the boots. So good to discover different methods, and I'm really glad that of all the detail, because when I look at you and your journey and what we've discussed now, it all is very detailed. It's very well thought out, and you're leaving no stone unturned in order to be the best athlete that you possibly can be, amongst all the other things that you have to do in your life, including running a business. Can we talk about your business? Did your hobby become your job?
Well, my first sponsor became my job, actually. I don't know if that counts. Yeah, so Paul, who owns the Queenstown store, gave me my first pair of shoes, actually.
Yep.
Nice. I worked for him for 3 years, actually, in my early 20s, and we had a great time. We had a good laugh.
Nice.
He's a great friend. And then when we moved back to Christchurch, obviously franchise HQ is here, and
yep.
I was got given the opportunity to help Laurie sort of with the franchise and do some bits and pieces for him around digital and communication and things like that, and some staff training, and helped out at the flagship shop, which was the town store in the Colombo Mall, which is where we are now. And we, Katie and I, my wife, we purchased that store 4 years ago, and have tried to turn it into representation of my brain. Which, you know, I think that information shouldn't be hidden from anybody, and everyone should have access to it. And I feel very fortunate that, for one, running has given me a joy and an opportunity in life, but also has connected me with many, fantastic people, and given me a real understanding of, myself and what it can do for you. So, we really tried to make the store about sharing that information and getting, public connections with, professionals, and opening doors and connections for those people to do more things better. So that's kind of our business, really. I think we sell shoes to keep the doors open, but it's kind of
I understand, and you're actually fueling a passion. So the culture behind your business is a very important one, and we really appreciate that. We love working with athletes that are that way, and connecting into communities that are that way inclined, because it's part of our brand purpose to put what we do on people that need it the most. And quite often that's weekend warriors trying to balance the books. I call it balancing the books between life, their work, their family, their home life, key relationships, and their passion, and making sure that at the end of the day, when the calculation's done, there's enough energy and reserve in the tank to get it all done, and to do so in a constructive way. And so that's really cool. When I look at your running speeds, and I know you're still young as a runner, you've still got runway. So I'm not saying, and I'm not saying don't stay in the moment. But when I look at because I've already told you should have been a triathlete. No, I'm joking about that. But when I look at your speeds, what are the options later for possibly going longer? Because you're really quick, and you can go long. You're a marathoner. With the emergence of ultra running, and with New Zealand as being, I'm connected in the ultra running community here. We supply a lot of ultra runners here in Asia. When they talk about New Zealand in reverent terms as a mecca for running. What are your thoughts on that as a possibility later on in life?
Yeah, I think Sage Kennedy, to throw a name out there, did a pretty good job of that. Jim Worsley, pretty good job of that. Not to compare myself to those guys, they can run quicker than I can. But I really like the marathon distance, and I hope that looking towards that 2022 World Marathon the World Championships, is that I'm there in Oregon on the start line, or Portland, Oregon on the start line, for allowed to be, and then trying to get that, I guess, that one Olympic Games, wherever that ends up being, 2024 or 2025, whatever they decide to sort of do there. And then I love running on the trails. It's magic, isn't it? I can't imagine. But I can't imagine not trying to go faster yet. I put it that way.
Absolutely. Quite clearly, you've got a long runway ahead of you with improvements, and I'm so glad that we're part of that journey, because I think you're an outstanding athlete, but you're also someone that's chose to live the dream and do what you love and love what you do. So hats off to you for that, because that takes a fair bit of bravery, and a fair bit of courage.
Yeah.
And we've really enjoyed bringing your story to life here today, and we look forward to obviously following you and catching up with you again sometime in the future. But my biggest wish is that we actually catch up in person in Christchurch this year, because that would mean they've let us out of Singapore.
Yes, so let you in.
Back. Let me in back home. So we'll really look forward, and we'll plan for that well in advance. So thanks very much, Oska. Really enjoyed touching base with you today and hearing your story.
No worries, mate. Thank you.